Hey YouTube, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you, and today I want to talk about my favorite YouTube knife channels, why they're some of my favorites. And so I don't want to spend a lot of time on introduction. I just want to get right into, first off, the criteria that I used. Of course, there's an obvious criteria that I didn't even put on the list, but it's implied. Obviously, I'm going to like channels that are sharing knives I'm interested in, okay? If you have a knife channel that's all about, I don't know, Swiss Army knives, I'm sure it's a great channel, but I'm not that into Swiss Army knives, so I'm probably not going to be watching that often, okay? Now, moving on from that, I like discussion. I like to hear someone talk about why they like different things. I like them to talk about, what's going on in the industry. I like them to talk about blade steel, blade shapes, blade construction, handle materials, handle construction, and kind of get into get into the thought process behind what makes something good or not good. And so you guys know I do a lot of videos like that. I have a fair number of discussion videos out there, and I really appreciate when others do so as well. Excuse me, either as specific videos or, as part of their reviews. There are lots of guys who, maybe they're going to review this knife, and as part of the review, they'll discuss why they dislike proprietary pivots. By the way, this is a WE 604, and look at that blade. That is awesome, isn't it? I'll try to name all these knives as we go through the video. When someone talks about the triad lock, and they don't just say, yep, it's got a triad lock, they say, what's different about the triad lock, why it's strong. That's very, very much appreciated. Talking about, we'll pick on a knife like this. When someone's talking about this knife, they don't talk about some of Adam Demko's other designs. I'm like, yeah, come on, you're missing something here. So I like discussions. I like people who get into a subject matter. All right, that's very, very much appreciated. While we're sitting here, before I forget, I think most of you know this is a PM2, this is a Rat Model 1, this is a Reich P831, and this is a Riat Knives Torrent. By the way, this little tool is the Boker Weha Torx tool. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's really, really nice. So let's go ahead and get back into what I'm talking about. So I like discussions. I like sort of philosophical considerations of various aspects of knives in the knife industry. I like to watch people who know what they're talking about. Okay, it's going to get a little frustrating if someone's doing a review on a titanium frame lock, and they don't seem to know that this is a relief cut and that there's a lock bar insert here, and they don't know. If they come across as if they have no idea how this knife is built or why it works or what it's supposed to be doing, that's going to get old pretty quickly. All right. Not that, and by the way, we all make mistakes, but I'm more talking about a person who just tends to get a knife, put it on camera, and talk about what they can see from a very limited knowledge base. All right, next up, I like to see somewhat regular videos. A couple videos a week is appreciated. Oh yes, one of the things that drives me a little bit crazy is knife reviewers who have strong personal biases that everyone watching can obviously see, but that they refuse to acknowledge, okay? So we all have biases. I have biases, you have biases, and that's fine, but in a knife review, I want you to be honest about those biases. So let's say that you are just the biggest Spyderco fanboy that ever lived, and you feel like any knife, for it to be good, has to have a finger choil and a thumb ramp. Okay, and if it doesn't, you're just gonna hate it. So, you're reviewing this knife here, and you get to the ergonomics, and you're like, yep, the ergonomics are terrible. It has no thumb ramp and no finger choil, end of story. Okay, well, I understand that you like that, but you need to tell us as viewers that, hey, I only like knives that have a finger choil cutout up here, and since this doesn't have it, I just can't give it good marks for ergonomics, okay? Whoops. So it's okay to have biases. We all have them. Just tell me what they are. All right, you guys, for example, know that I like finger choils, okay? You know that I like bigger, heavier knives. If I was doing a review on this knife and I was acting like everyone should just love it as much as I do, I'm neglecting to make allowances for my own biases there, right? Okay, next. And I'm often guilty of this, I like people who will take their time. I don't mind a 20-minute video if it's full of 20 minutes of good content, okay? And so, with all of that said, let's go ahead and get to the list of my top 10 knife channels. Number one has got to be the Apostle P. Rob does a really good job. Yes, he has some biases that sometimes he doesn't acknowledge, although he is bold enough that there's no question about how he feels, okay? But there are very few people that go into as much detail or are as thorough as Rob is, right? He does a great job telling you every aspect of a knife, and that is very, very appreciated. He also, again, he tends to digress from time to time and have a little bit of a conversation about features and functions and how he feels about them. So I really appreciate that as well. Rob is one of the few guys who can change my opinion on a knife. And there's not that many people who can do that. By this point, I've got enough experience, I've handled enough knives that usually I can take one look and go, yeah, don't like it, or yeah, I think I'm gonna like it. One of the only people who can change my mind about that is going to be Rob over at the Apostle P channel. Next up, solo knife reviews. I love solo knife reviews. He does such a great job. Yes, it's very conversational. Yes, his videos can be a little long, but the detail he includes and the discussions that he has are absolutely worthwhile. And if you want to learn more about knives, maybe you want to make knife reviews yourself, maybe you just want to be able to make informed buying decisions, Rob and solo knife reviews are going to be great resources for you. Number 3, Birdshot. Birdshot 4. Frankie and Bird, again, you're going to notice this theme. They're very conversational. They don't rush through a bunch of stuff. They talk about things that are going on. They digress and go down sort of some side trails from time to time. And that's pleasant, at least for me, to listen to. I like getting that background. I like getting some of that backstory. So that's number 3. Number 4, Nick Shabazz. Nick does a good job, very detail oriented. Bit of a stickler, and his voice is very distinctive. If you hear him once, you're not going to forget. Someone commented, I believe on Instagram the other day, that he sounds like the parrot from Aladdin, and I can't remember that actor's name. But I really laughed when I noticed the comment there, and of course Nick had a good time with it as well. But yeah, Nick does a good job. Now he has some different preferences than me. Of course, he's not a fan of Hinderer, and as he grows and develops as a person, I'm sure he'll come around to be a full-on Hinderer fanboy, and we just have to bear with him while he's kind of working through whatever personal issues are stopping him from loving Hinderers. Now, let's move on. I got a little sidetracked there, but it's fun to give Nick a bit of a hard time. Let's see, number 5, Epic Snuggle Bunny. Now, Epic Snuggle Bunny is great for a couple of reasons. One, his video quality. Like when I want to just take a good look at a knife and really get a feel for whether or not I'm going to like it, I always gravitate toward his videos. They are really, really well done. Not only that, but he gets them so early, okay? He has knives oftentimes before they're available for retail, or if they otherwise right after they're available. Now, there is a bit of a drawback there, and that is, he's not reviewing a knife in the traditional sense, okay, where he's got, months of experience and he's done all kinds of cutting and all kinds of work with this knife. That's not always the case, but the trade-off is you're getting to hear some stuff about this knife right away, so that you or I don't have to go blindly into a new purchase. Especially the kind of knives he reviews are pretty expensive, and so it's appreciated to get a good handle on what's going on there. And the other thing is that I really appreciate about Austin over at Epic Snuggle Bunny channel is he'll give you the background a lot of times. He'll tell you, this is how this knife came to be. This is what was going on with the designer. A lot of that stuff is really, really fun to hear about. I'm going to speed up a little bit. We're almost to 10 minutes. Number 6, EDC Gear Reviews. Used to be Knives, Guns, and Gear. Great channel, great guy, tons of fun to listen to. And again, we have very similar tastes in knives. Number 7, this is going to be one of the bigger channels that's out there. Everyday Tactical Vids, big channel, tons of content. I'm sure he has lots of corporate connections, which is cool for him. And I know sometimes he comes off a little commercial, but not too much, and I really do enjoy his stuff. Number 8, Dr. Frunky. Now, the reason Dr. Frunky's on this list is because him and I have similar taste in knives. There are a lot of knives that he has that I've even bought from him. But because of that, I tend to like his videos. He's mostly reviewing knives that I would think about buying myself. And guess what? fairly obvious then that I'm gonna like what he's doing. Let's see, next up, number 9, Terra Fanatic. Terra Fanatic, again, great job, very conversational. I love the macros that he does. He's had a few videos of knives that I've been really interested in, and of all the reviews that are out there, his is the one I'll watch over and over again to look at and examine every little detail of the knife. He does great work with that close in tight camera work. Really nice. Of course, the Wieners and Steel series is great, just fun, you know, a few knife guys chatting, totally awesome. Let's see, Rival Custom Knife Works is number 10. Again, great content, great reviewer. You know, he knows his stuff. Not that big. And if you're not subscribed to him, you probably want to go over and check out his work. He does a really good job. Finally, I gotta mention a couple of guys. Number one of the people that had a huge impact on me when I was first getting into knives was a channel by the name of Darkchild57. Great content. Yes, his stuff that's out there now, of course, it's a little older. He hasn't been as active lately, and I wish he was. I'm almost tempted to start mailing him knives just so that he'll review them and I can watch his videos, because he does a great job, and probably wouldn't have time for that anyway. But Darkchild, great work. Now older videos. Juju1313, same deal. Really liked his older stuff. He had a bit of a resurgence the middle of last year, and he's kind of quit since, slowed down a bit. And finally, Nut and Fancy and Cutlery Lover. Both of those guys, great channels. Not as many knives these days as they used to, but still very much appreciated. So those are my top 10 videos. I haven't mentioned Knife Collector of the Netherlands, 7 Ready Knife Reviews. Those guys, again, do a great job. They have a unique situation in which, because they're in Europe, they get very different knives. And 7 Ready was the first review that I ever saw on a Wii knife. And, you know, it's totally his fault that I got so into Wii knives. And I've probably had, I don't know, 5 or 6 or maybe 7 at this point. Not sure, but anyway, another great channel. There are many others that we could mention, and I hope, you know, if I didn't mention you and we're kind of connected in some way, I don't mean to offend you, but these are just my favorite channels. It's not these are the only channels I watch or the only channels I like. Okay, so there you go. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to this channel, and we will talk to you soon.